Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're cutting straight to the chase and breaking down the hard data, historical trends, and some brutally honest expert insights to reveal the exact career strategies that work best and, well, worst for women in tech. We're going to unpack the invisible barriers that still exist in the industry today, and more importantly, talk about how you can systematically bypass them.
But first, I want to hook you with a pretty wild question. Why did women disappear from computing? Because contrary to what a lot of people might assume today, the tech industry actually used to be heavily dominated by women. Back in the 1950s and early 60s, computer programming was definitely seen as women's work. In fact, an incredible woman named Anne Moffat literally programmed the black box flight recorder for the Concorde right from her kitchen table. But as the 1960s stretched on, women were systematically pushed out and replaced by male management-level technocrats. Women actually found themselves training their male replacements before leaving the field entirely. And this completely flipped the gender demographic, leading directly to the massive skills shortage and missing talent that we're seeing today. Now, that historical shift didn't just change the demographics. It created this lingering, totally invisible bias. And the proof is in some pretty staggering data from the London School of Economics regarding GitHub, which is the largest community of developers in the world. Get this, women currently make up less than 10% of open source contributors. And here is where it gets genuinely shocking. That same LSE research proved that changes to code on these forums were significantly more likely to be rejected if it was clear the author was a woman. The code itself wasn't worse. In fact, they proved men absolutely do not code better than women, but it was rejected purely based on gender perception. This happens because of a deep-rooted unconscious industry bias, which proves the playing field still has some hidden traps. Because of this, women are frequently forced to use anonymous profiles just to avoid having their code devalued. So, here is our playbook for navigating this landscape: the hidden bias, visibility and hiring, salary negotiation, gaining recognition, and finally, dedicated networks. Let's start with visibility and hiring. So, how do you actually get hired and noticed in a male-centric environment? Well, the absolute worst strategy you can employ is sitting back, waiting to be noticed, or taking a rejection personally. You have to proactively market yourself because, as we saw, the industry defaults to unconscious bias. The best strategy? Treating your skills as a highly quantifiable service. HR expert Tracy Hill hits the nail on the head with this blunt, vital advice. She says, "You're a service. Nobody owes you anything. If you don't see yourself as a solution, your growth is going to be limited. It's not personal, right? It's a business transaction. You have to quantify every single achievement." Okay, so how do we actually put this into action? First, early in the process, remove identifying biases from your resume if you even suspect it's hindering your initial screening. Second, look at the job description and write 2 to 3 highly quantified bullet points for every single requirement. Did you save the company money? Did you finish a project ahead of schedule? Put that down. Third, send these specific bullet points ahead of the interview. This forces the hiring manager to focus strictly on your capabilities as a solution before they even sit down in the room with you. And as a quick aside, this service mindset heavily applies to internal promotions too. You really can't just wait around for a tap on the shoulder. Managers are not mind readers. You have to verbally advocate for yourself and explicitly ask for the role when positions open up above you. Moving right along to salary negotiation. When it comes to the money, the absolute worst strategy is naming a number first, or accepting the initial offer out of gratitude or fear. The best strategy? Flipping the script by deflecting and firmly asking for their range. Naming a number first is incredibly dangerous because you will almost certainly trap yourself in a lower pay bracket right out of the gate. Why is that? Because initial offers are typically 10 to 15% below what the company actually has budgeted for the role. Tech CEO and author Tara Wheeler refers to this critical window as minute zero in the gender pay gap. Because if you accept that first offer, you are cementing that wage gap for the rest of your tenure at that entire company. So how do we completely avoid this trap? By following 3 strict rules to maximize your compensation. Rule 1, do not name a number first. Rule 2, ask for their range instead. And Rule 3, if you do hit a rigid corporate salary cap, immediately pivot to negotiating non-linear perks. Think things like signing bonuses, which rarely have those same strict limits. Now, you might be wondering how to ask for their range without sounding overly aggressive. Just use this exact phrasing. The information that you give me when you tell me the range tells me how you'll value me. It is a brilliant psychological frame. It instantly positions you as a collaborative team player who is just trying to understand the company's valuation, rather than an adversary who's just demanding cash. Section 4. Gaining recognition. Okay, so you've got the job and the salary. What's next? Earning recognition. The worst strategy here is falling into the trap of the passive office wife. Always organizing the team donuts but never presenting the actual code. Or, conversely, fighting aggressively for the spotlight, which unfortunately often gets penalized in women as not being a team player. So what works? The best strategy is completely counterintuitive, forcefully giving credit away to someone else. Here is exactly why this counterintuitive strategy works. When you physically lean forward, command the room, and publicly acknowledge a teammate's hard work, you instantly grant yourself the power position. You establish this unassailable authority and leadership. You get all the credit for being a strong leader without triggering any of that negative bias about being overly aggressive. It's a total game changer. And finally, leveraging dedicated networks. The absolute worst strategy you can take here is trying to navigate this highly complex industry entirely alone and just guessing at your next steps. The best strategy is actively leveraging dedicated, female-focused training and portals. Why? Because they are explicitly designed from the ground up to help you bypass traditional and often heavily biased networking gates. There are some, frankly, incredible government and corporate training schemes out there that you should definitely jot down. We have the Tech Saction program by Microsoft and SAP, which offers cloud computing and AI training. There's the Women Entrepreneurship Platform by Niti Aayog for corporate mentorship, and the Vijayanjyoti scheme, which helps bridge the gap into research careers. These are fantastic, absolutely free structural resources at your disposal. On top of that, there are direct financial grants and communities built just for you. The Generation Google Scholarship awards a substantial $2,500 grant to female students. The Grace Hopper Celebration provides direct access to non-competitive career fairs. And massive portals like Herky and Aspire for Her connect you directly to female-friendly employers and peer mentorship, allowing you to completely bypass the normal, grueling, cold application pile. To bring this all together, yes, the tech industry has historically placed hidden traps for women, from biased code reviews to minute-zero pay gaps. But by treating your skills as a highly quantified service, strategically deflecting early salary numbers, and forcefully empowering others to establish your own leadership, you bypass these traps entirely. You put the power completely back in your own hands. Which leaves us with one final, essential question. Now that you have the playbook, how are you going to use these exact strategies to rewrite the code of your own tech career today? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope you found it as fascinating and actionable as I did.